Get ready to rock.
Welcome to our GRTR at 20 podcast series. And now an interview with the frontman of melodic hard rockers House of Lords, James Christian, recorded back in December of 2011. Now, is there any reason, James, why the founder member, keyboard player Greg, is it Giuffria? Giuffria. He never returned to the band after the early 90s. You did an original lineup reunion at the Firefest event. I think that was 2007, but he wasn't part of that.
No, Greg got more involved in a business aspect of. He was living in Las Vegas and did something with some kind of patent on a slot machine, which I guess turned out very well for him. And from that, he parlayed that into a part ownership into the Hard Rock Casino in Biloxi. So he's really a businessman at this point.
Do you ever feel, talking about constraints of expectation and what have you, do you ever feel that's a constraint? Because would there be a possibility to have the completely original lineup if he was basically up for it,
Yeah, that would be a possibility, but here's the problem. We tried it on Power in the Myth, and it failed miserably because everybody's musical tastes have changed, and everyone didn't want to go back to what we were doing 15, 18 years ago. They just didn't want to do it. But the record company wanted that. That's what the record company wanted to hear. I'm the only one that really believed in that sound. That I believe that it's still viable. You don't record the records the same way, but you go through it in the spirit of writing it in the 80s. World Upside Down is a record that was done in 2004, 2005, but it sounds modern. But it's got all the melodic flavors that you need. So you don't have to sacrifice melodicness to sound modern. And the problem was the rest of the guys were really into recreating the sound, recreating a sound that hasn't been done yet by House of Lords.
Yes. No, I can understand that, really. They didn't really want to move forward with the music.
That was the problem.
Now tell us a bit about the going right back in time to the formation of the band in the late 80s. I gather you were protégés of, or at least I think perhaps you were more directly in contact with Gene Simmons from Kiss, and he may well have recommended you to the band. But what was happening then around the late 80s? How did it all come together?
Well, actually, Chuck Wright brought me into the picture. I had sent him a tape because they were looking for a singer for Quiet Riot, and I was a little late getting to the party there. They had already chosen, I think, Paul Shortino at that point. But Chuck held on to my tape, and when they were putting together House of Lords, that's when he brought me up and brought me over to meet Greg, meet the rest of the guys. I did a couple of tracks for them, sang them, and they were totally happy with what I was doing, yet they had auditioned many, many, many singers. So it still wasn't a lock for me until I met Gene. Again, we had met prior to that because I did a song for one of his records that he was producing. But we really weren't calling each other on the phone or anything. It was a business thing. So I had to go through the audition channels like everyone else did, and I had to wait until it was narrowed down to two guys, and the guy that it was either between me or this other guy, and I remember that he was a Ford model, and he looked like, perfect in every way, Adonis with blonde hair down to his back, and again, a Ford model, perfect, image of a rock frontman. So it was kind of nerve-wracking, but luckily they went with the better singer.
Thankfully.
The better looker.
He probably would have lost his hair over the years, wouldn't he?
Oh, who knows? All I know is that back then, image was like incredibly important. I mean, the Poisons of the world and the Motley Crues, nothing against Vince Neil, but it's not like, on the top list of singers,
Yes.
But, he was the front man for Motley Crue. And that was a big group, and it was all about image. And I was a guy from Connecticut. I didn't really have an image yet, but I did have a voice. I just needed I needed a vehicle, and House of Lords was the perfect vehicle.
And at that time when you came into the band, was there already that Gene Simmons connection behind the scenes? Was it his label, I think, was it? Or
Yes, Gene's label was what signed House of Lords, but what happened was after, and it was distributed by RCA, but when RCA heard the record, they took it out of Gene's hands and took it upon themselves and just said, look, you don't have to do anything. We'll do the rest. We'll promote it. We'll pay for it. We'll do everything. And Gene said, as long as my name stays on there, Simmons Records, you can do whatever you like. So we had the RCA engine behind us, and we had it behind us big time. I mean, they hired Michael Bay to do our videos, and Michael Bay today is one of the biggest movie producers in the world. Transformers is all Michael Bay. Pearl Harbor is Michael Bay. The guy is all over the movie industry. Then he was doing our music videos.
So that's another question, really. I mean, you were obviously getting great support, label support at that stage. And how long did that continue for, James?
For 2 records, for
right.
2 albums, and then we decided that the president of RCA, they took from Nashville and brought him into the rock division up in L.A. And from that point, things got really weird. We had just released Remember My Name, and it was climbing the charts. It was climbing quickly. MTV had it as the number 2 most requested video on MTV. Back then, you had to request videos. They had like contests and stuff. So everything was going in our direction, and he pulled the plug on that song and went with another song right away, like a song that he felt was a stronger song. And we lost the momentum on Remember My Name, which should have been a huge hit. It was a hit on MTV, but it wasn't the hit it needed to be. So we really felt we got shafted, as we might say at that point, and we didn't want to renew our contract at that point, and that's when we signed up with Victory Records, which is a division of Polygram. And unfortunately, when that record came out is when the music industry changed to grunge, and it was all over. It was all downhill from there.
It's amazing the number of people you speak to, well, obviously we speak to, who, especially in the melodic rock genre, which was picking up speed in the late 80s, and it was really the heyday, wasn't it? And as you say, it then all came to a halt because of grunge, and, very sad for that, really. Just finally then, James, talking about albums in the early 90s, have you got an overall favourite House of Lords album?
Yes, Demons Down.
Right, because that'll be the obscure album that possibly other listeners haven't heard that one, because it didn't have any promotion as far as I remember in the UK.
And it was a phenomenal record. If you've never listened to it, if you've never heard it, you should definitely check that one out.
Right. And would you like to select a track off that as representative of the album?
Yes. The song I would like to take off that one is the title track, Demons Down.
Demons Down. Great. Well, look, great talking to you. I'm sure we'll catch up again in the future, James.
All right.
You take care.
Thank you, David.
And from Get Ready to Rock, good luck for the future.
Take care.